Let's get started today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so very much. We have such a wonderful group of people here from all over the world today. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are from. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ali Gainey. I work here at Forest Music, and we are sponsored, of course, today by the wonderful people at Leitzinger. We're a full service Leitzinger dealer. We have both of their wonderful instruments here, both the Model 1 and Model 2, which are absolutely phenomenal. We carry every single vocal that Leitzinger makes, and it's over 100 vocals. So if you're interested in trying some of the magnificent vocals that Leitzinger has, we have them, and they are available for trial here in the United States. If not, I will drop the Leitzinger website in the chat so you can find your local dealer in your country. I will also drop links to the Leitzinger Bassoon Ensemble. We're having a little bit of technical issues today, and so rather than playing you guys a jittery video, I will just leave the link in the description for you guys to play at your own convenience. And I believe from there, I will hand it over to Alban and let him get started.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you for having this all organized. I would love to see faces. I see Sabrina and Axel. Hello, Axel, I know you. I'd love to see faces if that's okay for everyone. You don't have to do that, of course, but that makes it more interactive, of course. And then I know whom I'm talking to. Yes, Axel, I was just going to ask, do we have any bassoons at hand? My idea was that if you want, you can try things out that we are going to discuss straight away, and I'll play some stuff for you as well, of course. But you're very nicely all muted because it would be a fantastic, interesting potpourri of sounds if we would be unmuted. But I recommend, if you have your bassoon at hand, just try the things that we're going to speak about. I'm not aware of the level of playing and how long we are, how professional we are, how non-professional we are. If there's anyone who feels like he or she can add something to the to what we're discussing, please don't hesitate to raise your hand, either literally or digitally. Thanks, Carol, for showing up. Hi. If things are not working on your bassoon, just be sure that they will work sometime, and things are recorded. So I guess if you want, you can ask Ali, you can ask Forest Music to get a link to the recording. You can try to see things again and try out things again. Okay, I have something. Oh yeah, there's the link in the description. Thanks. What is it? Right. Okay. Wonderful. I'll close that. I have something prepared, like a PDF to show and to run myself and us through the various techniques that I would like to discuss. Can I share screen already? Shall I try? Otherwise you would have to, okay, I should be working. There we go. I'll share this. I'm not sure. Can you see this? Any thumbs? Frank, can you see this? Blue screen, black and white letters. Good. There we are. So this is where we are. It's July 24th. Let me introduce myself briefly. I'm in the Netherlands. I'm Dutch. I'm member of the Califax Reed Quintet. That's what most people know me from. But I think I have my interest for and experience in new playing techniques, mostly from another group that I've been playing in for more than 20 years, which is Ensemble Musikfabrik. And that's in Germany, which is very nearby for me, in Cologne in Germany. We have been in New York with the great Harry Parch project a few years ago. And this Music Fabrik is a specialized ensemble for new music. So that's where I got to meet lots of composers, lots of fantastic music instrumentalists, new music specialists. And that's where my interest in extended playing techniques started, and where I started exploring things. as you can see here, hopefully, this is how I would like to divide our time. I think we have roughly an hour and a half. We don't have a very big group, so if we have, you see, I would love to end up with your input and Q&A. We might round it up a little bit earlier and have time for that, but roughly I was thinking of spending an hour and a half together. So we have the introduction, which is almost over now, and then there are a few techniques that are of interest to me and that I would like to share with you. Some of them we just go through quickly, and some others, like the multiphonics, I think that's such a vast group of sounds that we would spend a bit more time on that. Having said this, I would like to start with, I think, one of the things that our instrument is so good at and much better at than other wind instruments. You know what I have experienced working with maybe literally 100 composers premiering their pieces in this German group, is that many composers are very well informed about new playing technique, extended techniques on like the flute, the clarinet, brass instruments, and they sometimes transfer those techniques directly to the bassoon, and then sometimes we're off. Like the quality of the slap tongue on the bass clarinet, that's a thing we cannot approach at all. On the other hand, we have things that they can't do, and I keep telling the composers, and that's why I want to talk about this a little bit. I keep telling composers, hey, wait, there's a thing that bassoonists can do much better than the others. So maybe this is like very obviously for most of you, but still I would like to spend a few minutes on it. I'm a little bit in summer mode, but here we go. If there's anyone, and this is for all the topics that we're going through, if there's anyone who's more of an expert on it than myself, please don't hesitate, as I said, to raise your hand. I'm not seeing everyone now, so can I change that? Oh yeah, this is a little bit better, I think. Again, don't hesitate to step in and add something to what I'm telling. So I like exploring things on the bassoon. I'm not an expert on understanding why things work the way they work. But for this, the color trills, which is like a bisbigliando in the Italian phrasing, which is also a little bit of microtonal deviations of the, in this case, the lower G, of course. That's a thing that I think happens because the holes of the bassoon are so big compared to the other woodwind instruments that the sound literally comes out of the first hole that is open after your air starts going into the vocal, into the wing joint of the instrument, and whichever hole is open, that's actually where the sound comes out. And that's why also I think it's difficult for sound engineers to have a really good recording of the bassoon, because the sound has really different sources. Maybe you've noticed sometimes that when you're doing a chromatic scale going down and you stand in front of a sound technician who is really interested in where the sound comes from, then he would look like this. He would stand in front of you and you would go like this, and you go down chromatically, and then you go further down chromatically, you play the low B flat, and you see his eyes going down and up, and that's why that's because the sound comes out of the holes. So what I would, if you work with composers or arrangers, I would just always tell them this, that this is such a very fantastic feature. Again, I'm having a little trouble about the level of experience that we're having here. I think it's very different in the room. So again, please excuse me if it's either too simple or we're going too fast. But let's try it. What I just did, pick your bassoon, play low G, and as long as you keep your right pinky away from the low F key, you can do anything with your thumbs, both your thumbs, with all the other keys to make these lovely sounds. If you do this for the first time, the most simple thing is just play low G, and with your right thumb press up and down the E key. And then you continue doing this. I see a few people are playing, that's good. You continue doing this with the other, with your left thumb. And also your left pinky for the low E flat and the low D flat key. You can basically make a lot of very interesting changing colors of sounds, which can go fast, which can go slowly. Just spend half a minute on it. I'm sure you're having fun. I'm not hearing you, so sorry if I interrupt you too quickly. But I would like to spend a little bit more time on the next techniques. So this obviously goes up to the whole repertoire. So let me play for you. The same goes if you go up, as long as you keep some holes open, you can do a lot of things. So we go to the A. And this goes for the whole register of the instrument, of course. So where I would like to continue is to a very specific thing that I think less people are experienced with. It's a tricky thing, but it's fantastic. Let me show you what it looks like when a composer composes for it. We call it, I and the composers I've been working with call it the mini trumpet, because we produce a sound without the reed, by the way, playing trumpet on the crook, on the vocal. So basically it's like as if you have a mini trumpet, and it sounds crazy without instruments, but it sounds great with the instrument. Because the instrument functions like a very nice acoustic environment for the sound. Can you hear anything? Yes, yes you can, good. So it's an eerie sound, and this one, we will spend a second on it to try it out, but I'm positive that not everyone can find it straight away. Let me show you a bit more up close what I'm doing. It's literally a very tiny airstream, and I'm literally doing hardly any pressure, and there we go. Why I like this so much, sorry, go ahead and try if you want. One of the reasons why I like this one so much is that in an ensemble, no one would understand where the sound comes from. If there's a very quiet environment, and I tell this to composers, and once they know it, they like to use it, there is this. It's difficult to control, I agree. So a composer would never write an actual pitch for it. But I have an example here of a piece by Georges Apergis. He's a Greek-French composer who wrote a big piece for my quintet, for Califax. And you can see here, the top line is the clarinet. The second line is combined bass clarinet and his voice. The third line is combined saxophone and his voice, his or her voice. And the lower line is for the bassoon. And this is this technique I'm talking about. So he's writing the treble clef and then basically just high lines. And in the in the bassoon part, it would look like this. Don't look at the first two lines. It's a crazy piece. It's very quick and very high, and a lot of quarter tones. I spent a lot of time on it. There was I mean, the end result was fantastic, I must agree. But I would like to focus on the lower two lines that you're seeing here. And I mean, obviously a composer needs to know what he's doing. It's such a, I mean, he's writing mezzo forte, which is a desired, or it's more like a dynamic for the action that you're doing. The result is pianissimo, of course, but that's common. That's a way of describing dynamics that we see more often. But anyway, I haven't practiced this now. Literally, I must say, there's not much about practicing. It's just having technique at hand. But let me try to play it for you from bar, what is it, 90, right? I even tried to have a little bit of the tempo. There we go. 3, 4. That was the fermata, right? We're in bar 92 now. I go on the fermata again. Now I'm in bar 96, as I hope that you can understand. So here we go again, 96, the high point of the piece or the fragment. So roughly that would be it. I think it's a nice sound, and I'm not sure what we should do. Allow you some time to find it out. Again, it's nothing more than, or even less, I'm not sure. Things feel very different when you have a reed in your mouth, and the same here with the vocal. It's basically doing, and you hardly have your vocal into your lips. You're just on the edge of the vocal with your lips. I see some people trying it out, that's great. And we'll wait for those before we continue. So that's why I and some composers here in Europe now call this the mini trumpet on the bassoon, because it's like you're doing a very small mouthpiece, and also the sound is very modest, let's say. Okay, then we come to a big thing, which is maybe not an extended technique for the experienced contemporary players, but it is for some people, and I would love to share with you my way of notating this, and I would love to have your feedback on how I notate this. But let's maybe for now, we've been doing two things. We've been doing the colored trills and the mini trumpet, and let's have a moment for you to do any questions on those two techniques if you have.
There is one in the chat here, Alban, from Carol. She's asking, do the fingers change the pitch with the mini trumpet, or is it just lips and air?
It's just a good question. Sorry, I should have told that. I have mostly like a low B flat, so everything closed, because then the whole instrument is like a sound body for this thing. Sometimes I open a little bit with the thumbs, but it's good if much of the bassoon is closed. Thanks, good question. Sabrina, can I hear you?
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. Carol, can we hear you?
We'll see if I can do it.
Sure. Wow. Yes, you can. Thanks. Thanks. This is very promising. Any other questions? Otherwise, we go to the quarter tones and we spend a lot of time on the multiphonics, of course.
Frank Riley's asking, do you use the middle of your embouchure?
The what of my embouchure?
The middle of it, the middle of your lips.
Yep, I think I do. Would you suggest going to the side or what? No, yeah, I think I do.
I first had to do this because you may know the piece. It's for the regular instrumentation of the woodwind quintet. Heinz Holliger wrote one,
Yeah,
and we played it in New York with him.
yeah.
And he used this technique. I'm saying 30 years
I know.
ago, a
I know.
while ago, and he could do it very well on my bassoon, but I couldn't.
Right, right.
It was always problematic for me. Everyone is doing better today than I think I have done.
We
Anyway,
must have
that was,
we must have progress with the new generations, right?
that's for sure.
The piece is called H, right? It's the letter H.
Yes, I remember that now. It's been a long time. Yeah.
I think it ends with a great duo for bassoon and oboe with this technique. Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing this in the Musikfabrik. Yeah,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
yeah. I would suggest indeed to do the middle, and it's actually a very soft embouchure.
I
Don't
think
think
maybe I
about your
tried to.
bassoon embouchure. Yeah, but
I think I tried too hard. When
that's
you
possible.
say, yeah,
That's possible.
thank you.
Many things, right?
That's true.
So, unless there's anyone else with questions about the past 20 minutes, then we continue. Look, this is how I like to write down fingerings. I must change something here so I can see my own fingering chart. Yeah, there we go. Thing is, I sometimes get confused, or to be honest, I always get confused when I see those fingering charts where all the keys of the bassoon are always displayed. What I like is simplicity, and I start with this fingering because we all know what's meant here. So the 6 circles obviously are the E, D, C, and the B, A, G holes. I mean, number 6 is actually a key, the G, but anyway, it feels like simple. 3 plus 3. And then the little one here, oh, I cannot point it out. The little extra black thing is just the octave key. So that's closed. So basically, this is obviously just a fingering for the B. And if you agree that this is clear, then I just move over to, well, let me just play a few, just a chromatic scale. This is real chromatic as opposed to the diatonic chromatic. So this can go all the way up, but we can work on a little bit of this, and I would love to be as accurate with like 6 or 8 quarter tones as you are with the regular tones. So the thing is, you will notice that, let's first move over to the next. Yeah, here's the next one. It's so simple. This is what we call the B quarter sharp, right? It should be right in the middle between the B and the C. And what I do is just play a B and add the F key. Go ahead, please try. This should be relatively simple. Let me put you here. Yes, this is great. And you will notice that if we continue, you will notice that we have big changes in sound color, right? Sometimes it really is a lot sharper or a lot darker or brighter. That's a thing that I take for granted, and that's For some people, that's one of the charms of the bassoons anyway, right? Some people try to even this out as much as they can in the whole register. Some people think it's the character of the bassoon that, I mean, like an F sharp is very bright, and like low D is a little bit muffled, and G's and E flats are rounder by sound. So for this little exercise that we do, I would just accept for the moment the changes of color. If in some situation you prefer to have a more even sound, you can always add some keys. Like maybe you could, in this case, I didn't prepare this, but let me look. Yeah, for example, I added now the low, with the left thumb, I added the low B, which obviously also closes the C and the D, which makes it a little bit more soft in the sound, you know? That's the kind of things that you can always do. Which actually is a little bit of the same aspect of the bassoon playing, which we talked about in the color trills, you know? We're just changing slightly the overtone situation of the sound. So where are we? Oops, I'm skipping one. So if this is the quarter sharp B, then we don't need to talk about this one, but just for clarity, I don't skip the regular notes. And here would come my suggestion for a quarter sharp C. Let's go and try. Carol is nodding, yeah, sounds good. Thanks for trying. I am deliberately not having a tuner here. I mean, normally when I'm looking for these fingerings, I check with the tuner, but now, you know, I always compare it with regular notes and want to be in the middle. Depends very much on the orchestral or ensemble situation, of course, to what extent it must be precisely in between. I mean, there's no precise, as we all know, but as precise as we can be in tempered music, in between the regular notes. But my suggestion is mostly to go by ear and to keep using your ears, also to do very fine intonation in the quarter tone spectrum, quarter tone situations. So let's go back and let's play the B. The B sharp is adding an F, and then the C, and so it's very similar, right? First you add a B, the F, and for the C quarter sharp you add the F and the B flat. You can try that. Good. Let's continue. So here's nothing special. So if we have the, by the way, I would love to have your feedback on my way of showing the fingerings afterwards. So this is the regular C sharp. What I add, there are actually two options for the C, how do you call this? Yeah, it's either a D quarter flat or the C sharp quarter sharp. The C three quarter sharp, maybe we should call it. Anyway, you have the regular C sharp and you add this little boop, boop, C sharp trill. I hope you all have it. I'm not sure you all have it. Otherwise I have a solution for you. So here's the C sharp, the regular one, and then I add the C sharp trill. So as you know, this note is between the C sharp and the D, right? we can also see it as a D quarter flat, as I said, and depending on the situation where you're coming from, the next fingering I'm showing you, which is here, it's the same. Someone entering the waiting room, by the way. It's the same pitch, roughly. So if you go now to a D first, and then you add your index finger, right index finger, then we have almost the same pitch as we had before. So I go from the D, and what I play now for you, oh no, you're trying, that's good, good. I will play now after each other this fingering, which is actually more of a quarter flat D, this one and the other one, oops, which was here, sorry, here. So this one and this one, I'll play them alternating, and you will notice, hopefully, not a lot of pitch difference, but a lot of sound difference. So I start with this one and then go to the other one, which is very much like the D. So why I'm showing these two fingerings is because depending on the environment where you come from, it's very handy to have them both at hand, which is similar to like in the normal playing, right? That was with two different fingerings for like the middle C sharp or the E flats. And if you come from a D, then I would always do this one. I mean, many composers use the quarter tone material in a chromatic way. So if you come from a D, then I would always go to this one, the quarter flat D. If you come from C sharp, then this is my suggestion. So I'm not bothering you too much, so only for this one I have two options. But as we all know, also for the normal notes, the normal fingerings, there are tons of options to change your color, to be a bit either stronger or softer, brighter or darker. I would call this one a little bit brighter and this one a little bit darker. I also noticed that for this one my embouchure needs to be a little bit lower. So keep using your ear to define your pitch. There we go. Regular D. We have the same C sharp trill. You may try that one. Go from the D to the D quarter sharp. This one, for example, I'm sorry, the D sharp or the E flat, I know we have tons of ways of playing it. I obviously just display the most simple way of playing it. On many bassoons we need extra pinkies to make it sound better, or other stuff to make it sound softer. But again, this is like the most simple thing. So we continue. Now, this is the little, I hope you understand this, the little C sharp key that we use. So don't do the D, only the C sharp. Sorry. So to try this, you go from the D sharp, E flat, you add the little C sharp and go to the E. I go to the next one, same thing, you have a normal E and you just add the little C sharp and we're a quarter tone higher, right? I hope we are. At least we are a little bit higher, and the rest you do with your embouchure. By the way, I'm sending this as a PDF to Ali afterwards, so of course, you can have it all as a handout.
I'll be sending a wrap-up email at the end of this that has all of the links to everything.
Good. Wonderful. Kudos from Frank, thanks. So here we go. The next one I like a lot because look, here we're on the register break, right? Always when you speak to composers and arrangers, please mention to them that we have a register break. Here we have everything open and here we have a lot of things closed, you know? Going from the F to F sharp is a big thing. So F, if we go to a F quarter sharp, it looks like a dramatic change, but look at this. If you see it coming down from the F sharp, it's just leaving out with your right thumb the F sharp key. So if we start on F sharp this time, I go from F sharp to F quarter sharp to F. F. I see some smiles, that's good, a good sign. Okay, there we go. That was the F quarter sharp. We're almost there because, I mean, we can go obviously all the way up to the end of the register, but we want to spend more times on the multiphonics, which we're approaching soon. So, but one more, the F three quarter sharp. Oh no, apparently I decided to stop here. Yeah, okay. I can send you more going up. By the way, I'm working on this. I would love to now ask you all if you have some better fingerings than the ones that we just discussed. Then I'm happy to hear it. I'm collecting things and I'm asking colleagues for feedback on fingerings, and I'm trying to make like a collection going all the way from the low F all the way up to the high E, F, whatever. And I always, oh yeah, another thing, if you talk to composers, please tell them to refrain from using the lower fifth of the instruments in terms of when they want to work with the quarter tones. Because, you know, in the low, we don't have much options with the keys, you know. When you press a key, it's a half tone down already. So only starting from the low F, we have all the options to go all the way up. So either now or later, if you have any suggestions for better fingerings, more easy fingerings, more accurate fingerings than the ones I have had on display, then I'm curious to hear. If not now, then we go to the big chapter of the multiphonics. I'll just have a sip of water. What I think is good to realize if we talk about multiphonics, that we have basically three categories. And I like to call them like this. Pushing up lower, regular low notes. We'll go through this. Letting down the high notes, letting your embouchure down, that means. And then the ones with the fantasy fingerings, which happen, and you know, as a beginner you think, oh, what's happening, my bassoon is broke, but we start loving those sounds, and that's the new fingerings, which I call the real multiphonics. And some of those are my favorites, and this like a subcategory of the new fingerings, because they have such a wonderful display of different sounds if you change your embouchure a lot. So there's a thing that I would like to stress before we go dive into the multiphonics, is that you need a lot of flexibility with your embouchure. Maybe we try to play a regular note, the most simple, like play a C. I want to, well, I cannot hear it all, but I can play for you. You can go, you have quite a variety on where you can go, right, in the pitch. This is just a normal middle C. with an embouchure as if I'm playing the low B flat. And if I go up, I'm actually using an embouchure roughly as if I'm playing a high D or whatever, right? Okay, try this to have a really flexible sound. Try how far you can go on a regular sound. So we're not talking about the traditional sound quality of the bassoon here, as we all understand and we appreciate. So having done this exercise, there's this fantastic sound of playing low notes like a B flat, the B, the C sharp rather than a C. Try playing those low notes with an embouchure that actually fits to the very highest register of the bassoon. I'm changing vocals here, by the way. So what you hear me doing is re-attacking the same note, because then you easily come in like a different overtone spectrum kind of thing of this note. So if for a second I'll stick to the B flat. This is all one fingering what I'm doing now, the low B flat. Maybe you think of it as doing octaves. Try it. Same on the B. Let's do the same on the B. You do as if you do octaves with your embouchure, but your fingerings remain on the low B. Same with the C, please. With the C, the same thing. And the C sharp, let's do it. It's a thing that works better with, I just changed to a Benson Bell vocal on my Leitzinger bassoon, indeed. That's a vocal that I use a lot for high stuff. You must play a lot in the high register, and obviously this makes it easier to do this overtony thing on the low notes. Okay, let's go to the next category, which is actually the opposite. You play like a high C sharp, G sharp, sorry, and you let your embouchure go down. Try it. It helps if you press with your left thumb, you press the octave key, so so you close this one, right? Let's do the same thing with the high A. Axel, can I hear you? Can I hear some people? Axel, how's this going? Can you do either the G sharp or the A if you want? You're muted.
I'm not sure.
Don't worry. We just want to hear some sound. Okay, you're not sure. Carol, how are you doing? Can you do either the?
Yeah, the G sharp works well. I can't get the A to break into a multi.
Okay, let's.
It just goes to a lower straight tone.
This was the A fingering.
A.
And how's the G sharp doing?
G sharp's great.
We're adding some microphone troubles here.
Oh.
It actually happens, absolutely. I'm also not sure how you hear my sounds, of course, by the way. So let's look at the A. Why? It's a very small change only, huh?
Okay.
Like you do intonation down?
Airspeed or tongue or lips only?
Lips only, I would say.
Lips only.
Interesting. How do you do the fingerings? What are you doing with your left thumb?
A and C sharp.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah.
Or I was trying with either the shorter or that, and neither one seems to.
So do you remember?
Huh.
Okay.
Could be my read.
I don't know. Do you remember the 1, 2, 3 holes that we had? So can you close 1, 2, 3, and then number 6, which is actually the G key with your left hand,
Yep.
and with your thumb as you did, and maybe with your left pinky the E flat.
Yeah, that's better.
We're there. Sabrina, how are you doing? Any of those two that work well? Yeah, what I like a lot about this, if you try this a little bit more often, that you can really go on the brink of the sound. You can, and that's a very nice. That's a place that many composers like to be. You know, that the sound just breaks up a little bit, breaks down, breaks open. That was the B flat fingering. So why I call it the opposite of the lower ones being pushed up is that in both cases you can decide by your embouchure to what extent you want to keep the original sound audible, so to speak, and you can mix in this the other sounds, either the overtones or the undertones. I don't know how to call this in this way, by the way, in this case, by the way. Anything to add to this? Otherwise, I would love to proceed to the. I mean, this goes up. This goes up nicely. The C is some sort of a exception, but if I do the B. The C also works well with this vocal. C sharp. D. I remember this. That's sort of, the idea stops at the ID. With the high E flats, I'm not getting it as clear as I get it in the other notes. Anyway, it also worked. We started a bit high, but also on the F. We have this very nicely, of course, especially if you close down the octave key. Right, unless anyone wants to add or ask about this one, then we might. Oh, I already clicked that one. The next, the last, or the big category of the multiphonics, the straight, real ones. Okay, here's a series of multiphonics that I prepared for you. I just played for you. It's like. That's what I hear a little bit. I go back to my regular vocal, by the way. A few words about the whole idea of the multiphonics is that, to my opinion, there's often a problem with the composers using them, because sometimes we have diagrams of people who make books or YouTube clips, and they have analyzed the sound of a multiphonic. You know, this one. Yes, it's a multiphonic because we'll hear clearly more than one pitch, but to my, I always keep telling composers the sheer fact that you hear such a rough, rich, and difficult to define series of sounds at the same time. This fact is so much a more important feature of the sound than that you actually hear a chord which is easily and practically usable in a harmonic way. So some composers, if they read books about the bassoon multiphonics, they think, this is great in this chord and this is great in that chord. But then we all have the experience that things are very different coming out on different bassoons, different vocals, different reeds, different players, etc. So that's why I like to, for example, I've had really maybe 100 times in my 20 years at Muziekfabriek, I've been working with composers who like the world of the multiphonics, and they prepare a very precise score, and in the bassoon there's very precise fingerings, which are often also described very chaotically. And then I try to do that, and then in the break I used to ask to the composer, hey, do you have a minute and can we look at those fingerings? And they are much more excited about the ones that I'm offering them, and it actually fits more in the harmonic context that we're working on at the moment than what they picked from the more theoretical background that they, or books that they used. Why am I saying this? Because I think that unless you're really working with a composer who really knows how this whole spectrum of pitches and overtones is going to fit in some harmonic context, it's far more practical, I think, to simply say this is a sound that, like I described it here, this multiphonic is roughly centered around an A. I hope, I'm not sure it's coming over clearly, I hope that when I play again this scale that I just did now, it's like this scale, dee da dee da dee da dee da, yeah. That you sort of hear this when I play these multiphonics. So it's sort of recognizable. Once again. Here it's clear. Anyway, let's look at those and let's see whether you can actually find the same, roughly the same sounds that I have played for you. So here's the first one, and just take 20 seconds to find it. And again, we must be flexible with the embouchure. For example, this one, let me play for you how different it can sound if I, for example, start with a very high embouchure and I relax a lot. So I'm here sort of in the middle, or maybe relatively high embouchure, just to give it a try. Carol, you're my favorite guinea pig. Sorry. Can I can I hear what comes out for you? You're a little bit close to the microphone. Can you be a bit further away? Yeah? Anyone else would like to share this sound? Thanks, Carol. You don't have to, but you can. Go ahead, Sabrina, yeah? Okay, once we're with you, Sabrina, why don't you just do this one? So the only thing you do is take away the E flat trill key. Again, sorry, I'm not sure everyone has it, but so far you have. Good, so going from the first one, I just have this series of, what is it, 7 or 8. Going from the first one to the second one is just take away the E flat trill. So it's going from... Can you do that, Sabrina? I followed you nicely. Nicely coordinated. So Axel or anyone else, if you want to join, please do. Otherwise, I just stick to the ladies here. So here's the third one, right? So I will always start at the first one. That's fingering wise a big step. So maybe just start here as it is. So what we do, we play a low G sharp and we lift both our ring fingers, right? So again, we play low G sharp and we only lift our right index finger. Can I hear it from you, Sabrina? And this one? Yeah, how's that with you, Carol? Those two. Can you see my fingering? Are you doing this one now? Lift both your ring fingers from the G sharp.
Yeah, I can get it.
Okay, first play a low G sharp, please. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's a little sharp on mine, so I have to kind of lower it.
Right, okay, cool. And the other one? First start on the G sharp again. Yeah. I know that when you start exploring this, that they all sound the same. But believe me, when you're experiencing it, you start having an idea about some order of things. Again, like this was the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we started 1, 2, 3. Really? 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. Only the second. Oh, we're going slow. Sorry. So here's number 4. So we just had this one, low G sharp, lifting the right index finger. Next one is just lift the G sharp. These two, right? And to keep it simple, I have, for practical reasons, I have the F sharp here in the pinky. You can also use the thumb, of course. Let's do those 3 together. G sharp, take it away, put the F sharp. For the rest, nothing is changing. G sharp, take it away, F sharp. G sharp. Okay, I believe you're doing fine. Where are we? So this is again a big step. So let's just start on playing a low F and you add the B flat key to it. And you have to push it up a little bit. Either your airstream or your embouchure or both. Otherwise it sounds like you want to have a little bit more up. Anyone having trouble? Or are we fine? We're good. We're good. What's happening here? Oh yeah, I know now, sorry. If things come in order, it's easy. So we have this one. The next one looks tricky, but as you see, actually only adding the low C and the C sharp left pinky. I'm always confused. I'm always unsure, by the way, whether to call these two. I want to make a questionnaire. Is this a C sharp key or a D flat key? It makes a C sharp, right? So I prefer to call it C sharp, but this one, we play more often an E flat than we play G sharps, right? But again, it makes the D sharp. So I call it a D sharp key, this one the C sharp key. Please tell me if you feel differently, but I'm just explaining how I'm using the fingerings here. So again, we have this one, you play a low F and add the B flat to it with your right thumb, and then you add those two. Sort of what I hear as an overtone. I play the low F and then la da. I hope you're doing fine. Otherwise, just lift your hand. So the next one looks like a big step. Maybe it is. I'll just play it for you. Well, as you can see, it's basically the low B flat fingering with the sixth hole open. The G key is open, right? So you can first play low B flat and then lift your right ring finger. Again, you have to be very precise with your embouchure. You have to push it a little bit. If you don't do it, it sounds like. But push it a little bit so you get this nice sound. So I hope you like this kind of sequence. I played the whole sequence for you once again. I wish I had someone to do this for me while I'm playing, but it's this one: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. I'm doing this so often that I'm not even realizing anymore to what extent I'm adapting my embouchure, which is basically the same when we play regular notes, right? You're so much used to correcting, and only when you play on a new instrument you notice, hey, oh, I've been correcting this in the past years because of my previous instrument. So as we all know, there are hundreds of options in the big lake of sounds, in the multiphonic sounds. And I've just picked a few and we'll share them with you. I would just like to point out a little bit this subcategory that I mentioned earlier, because some of those multiphonics that we create by fantasy fingerings have this fantastic array of going through different sound worlds just by changing your embouchure. Actually, the very first one I think is an example of it. I have an even better example of it, but how about this one? And there are a few multiphonics like this one that have this wonderful bouncing aspect of it when you're coming to the lower embouchure part, just before you actually break off and go into a very bland sound of like, which is like a little bit of a quarter sharp D. But let's try this specific fingering once more, which is the first one that we started with, and try to make this trip all the way from this bouncing and going up to like you're reaching the high, what is it? F-y, and a little bit high F, I think. So this, it's all this fingering. I'm only changing my embouchure. Why don't you try it?
I don't have the E flat trill key.
Can you speak louder?
I don't have the E flat trill key.
Okay. Please take the C sharp with your left thumb instead. Sabrina, how are you doing? Can you show it for us? Can you play it for us?
Yeah.
And can you now start up and go down and try to remain on this bouncing, this Morse kind of code kind of thing, as long as you can? Yeah, okay, let's start below. Let's start on the lower side. And you don't need to play very loud. It's just a very gentle thing. Cool. You might even try to put your reeds a little bit further out of your mouth, and then we are more in this bouncing moment. Yes, wonderful. For me, it's like an uh, like water almost boiling, and then when it starts boiling, you see things. You see the you see it boiling, and that's what you start hearing now. So there's one specific fingering I would like to play for you or show you in this category, which I think is great to explore these different sound worlds within one fingering. And I want to show two versions of it to you. It's either this one or this one. You see the difference? It's only with your right thumb is the difference. If you don't have an A flat B flat trill, then you just use the regular B flat. If you have the A flat B flat trill, then I'm having just a bit more fun in the richness of the sound, but this one with the regular B flat also works fine. So let me play it for you first, with this fingering. And I start with a low embouchure and I'm going up, right? I'm not sure this is as beautiful over Zoom as it is here in my room. Let me do it again on this Benson bell crook, which has a more ease to go in the higher stuff. Do the same thing before you go try. I do the same with the, if you don't have an A flat, B flat trill, just with a B flat. So it's very similar, but what I like so much about this one is that you can have this bouncing moment much more controlled. Please go ahead and try. Sabrina, how are you doing? Do you have an A flat, B flat trill?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Please play it for us.
Up, I think. Come on. I might not be playing. Oh, sorry, I was playing.
Wonderful, yeah, we seem to have a very similar sound. Carol, how are you doing?
This one doesn't work. I turned my microphone down, so let's see.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have the octave key locked? Do you have it locked?
Try that.
Because you need your thumb now for the low C, so you need to have it locked. Yes. Yes. Yes, there we go. Wonderful. Cool. I'm going to I'm just thinking of a piece now that that I've been doing with Califax. It's by a German composer, Carola Baukholt, and it's called Zugvögel, which means something like migratory birds, if that's a word. And actually this fingering is in there, and she uses it very nicely. It's by the way, it's a very fun piece to do anyway. She lives in Cologne, which is not far from Amsterdam, so we spent all the members of Califax, which is oboe, clarinet, bass clarinet, bassoon, and saxophone. We all spent a lot of time with her, and she is very much into bird sounds, and basically she played us tens of bird sounds and asked us which of those can you reproduce or mimic. And then she had a whole catalog of who can do what. And you know, I personally don't really like when composers use either the simple reed, playing on a reed as a gimmick. It's funny for a minute, but she really made an artwork out of it. It's such a really refined combination of all kind of bird sounds, and it's it's very nice that she uses actually this very sound that we just practiced as a background, like on a canvas. It's like the background upon which she has various bird sounds coming flying over. I will add in my handout, I will add a link to this piece, because there's a YouTube version of it with the score, where you can follow the score. So I think that's great to see the fingering, also to see all the kind of sounds that also come from the different woodwind instruments or the reed instruments. And I think it's a good example of a composer who actually pays a lot of attention to which instrument can exactly do what. So Ali, if I forget about it, please remind me that I add this in the handout that I'm going to send to you all. So where are we? There we are. That was the multiphonic department. Any comments or suggestions or input? Because we've also asked if anyone has any extended technique or fun sounds that you can introduce to us, then you're most welcome to do so. Or if we have questions about either the topics that we had here or about anything bassoon related or Amsterdam related, then this is your moment.
I guess I would just be like really interested to see like, I guess, more pieces in which and like how these different things are notated, because like just like the last thing, like making that sound, like how would you even like write that, like, you know, in a sheet of music, or like if you see it, I guess you'd have to really work closely with the composer to understand like really what they meant. So I think that's really cool that you have like this ongoing relationship, you know, with this composer and with others that, you know, do this.
Yeah. Let me show you the score, because in this case it's very funny how she. Let me see if you can. Let me see how quick I can be. Repertoire, Califax repertoire. Original compositions, Bauchholz. Where's the bassoon part? So are you seeing, what are you seeing now, Sabrina? Are you seeing my blue and white thingy, or are you seeing this new, are you seeing the score?
No, not the score.
Good. I think I need to stop share and start share screen again, and then go to the score. Yeah, I hope that you now can see the score, right? So it starts relatively normal. By the way, it says CD1 Schwäne, which means swans. It's not that she has a tape running, but it's just for the musicians to remind them where they can practice the sound, because she gave us CDs on which we can hear the bird sounds. So here we are. Let me make you a bit smaller here. Yes. The very sound that we just worked on is actually here, starting, yeah, she calls it multiphonic 3. I think somewhere in the description she has the fingering to it, and this is the very sound that we just played. So if you start playing it with a very low embouchure, your sound is something like a low B or the middle B, And if you go all the way up, then you hitting the high G, right? And in between, like in bar 9 and 10, she has the B and the C, which is this bouncing idea. Yeah, it's roughly a B. You may wonder why in bar 12 the arrow is staying horizontally instead of going down. I think that's just a mistake. So this is how she notates it, and I think it makes sense to not try to do a lot of difficult stuff about when the sound is actually going to be where in the spectrum of changing of sound, because that suggests a precision that we actually cannot deliver. So she's clearly giving us a fingering and describing that with your embouchure you go to the high G and go back to this bouncing idea.
Mm-hmm.
So from this piece I will show you the YouTube link with the whole score following the score.
Thank you.
Let me maybe look for one more piece that I think is very interesting in terms of how things are notated. I've been working quite extensively, Axis Mundi. Yes, here. With a composer who's called Lisa Lim. She's, I think, from New Zealand or Australia. Actually, she grew up in Brunei. I happen to find out later. And that's a bassoon solo piece, by the way. And what I did with her, I have to stop sharing again and then start sharing again, is this one. So this looks problematic if you don't know what she means, but there's a lot of explanation here about what she means. But I go again now to the first measures of the piece. What I think is interesting about her approach is that you see the regular notes, like the first note is a regular D, right? The second note is a diamond B. The third note is a diamond B flat, and so forth. And above the first diamond-shaped note, you see the minus C. So the idea is that you keep the C hole open, and for the rest, you just play as if you were playing a B flat, grace note A, then a B flat, then an A flat, then a G, and so forth. So let me just play the first bar for you of this. So if it would not have had this minus C, meaning if all the notes would be regular notes instead of diamond-shaped notes, it would be something like oh, sorry. So I play the first note and the first bar and the first note of the second bar. Once again. But instead of doing this, from the second note onwards, I keep this one open, right? I keep the C open. So lots of strange noises come out, but for the bassoonist, it's very easy. Once you understand this idea of notating, you can just play as if I just did it, which you can actually side read, and then the sound result. I haven't played this for a year, but there we go. So I forgot to switch now in the second bar. I forgot to switch from an open C to an open A. Let me do it again. Oh, forget to keep the C open now. I immediately want to play this piece again. You know, I think it's so interesting that she found a way that for bassoonists it actually looks okay to play, as long as you understand this trick that if there's a minor C, then all the other notes become diamond shaped, and it means that somewhere I have a hole open that normally would be closed. So these are two examples of notating stuff like this that I think are very interesting and practical, so to speak. So anyone else? Ali, are you taking care of the oh no, I can do that also, of the chats, because I see that there are 4.
Yep, I've got it, but no
No,
one has.
I don't know how to get there.
Sorry.
Maybe I stop sharing and then I can see the chat, I guess. Oops, no, I cannot.
Alban, I would say that first of all, thank you for a fantastic class, but I would say that notation where it indicates the finger to leave off and just play, boy, that would be helpful to me, big time, very helpful to me. And I love your fingering chart. I think the simplicity of it. So both things, I thought, to answer your question earlier, I thought they were really helpful, very helpful, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, questions or feedback, which can also come later, by the way. Otherwise, we ask, but let's give it some more time. Otherwise, we give Ali the last word, of course. And let me, the penultimate last words from me, that I'm grateful for your participation in all this, and thanks for joining.
All right, if no one else has any other questions for Alban, I'll say thank you guys so very much for joining us. It's been an absolutely wonderful class. Thank you to Leitzinger for putting all of this together and allowing us to create these events. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Alban. It's been absolutely super informative, and I'm, as a bassoonist myself, I've seen all of this as super fantastic, and it's been great. There's Paul Hansen. Popping in here.
Oh, thanks, Ali, for organizing the whole thing.
You're very welcome. Just for everyone else to let you know, this has been recorded. All of this information will be available. As soon as I get the copy of the PDF from Alban, then I'll be sending that in a wrap-up email along with the link to the recording of it. That'll be up on our YouTube channel. If you had any other questions about Leitzinger bassoons or bocals, feel free to give us a call or drop us an email. Even if you're not in the United States, if you're just like, hey, I'm interested in, you know, what are these bassoons about, or I'm looking for a bocal that does X, Y, or Z, then go ahead and give us a call, drop us an email. We'll be happy to talk to you and then point you towards your dealer in your local country. Additionally, if you guys needed to get in contact with Leitzinger, I'll have their information as well. And I think that is everything. So thank you so very much, you guys. And the last of these events, because this is a series of 4 events, will be on the 7th of August with David Peterson. It'll be covering the 3rd movement of the Mozart Bassoon Concerto. We'll be taking submissions for that. So if you're interested in working with David Peterson on that, he'll be taking recordings of those, and we'll be working on those recordings with him in that class. So if you're interested in that, the registration link for that will also be in the wrap-up email for the next one. Thank you so very much, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Absolutely. Thanks. Bye-bye.